What's good, Internet? I'm the angry philosopher on drugs, and once again, the Internet, more specifically Twitter, has provided another outstanding, extraordinary display of outrage and stupidity. Terry Crews has got himself back in the firing line of the outrage mob for the horrendous crime of suggesting that positive male role models, i.e., father figures, are just as important as positive female role models, i.e., mother figures. Um, that this even needs to be a contentious point in a fairly educated age is beyond fucking stupid. But because for anyone who puts, I don't know, 5-10 minutes thought into it, like we're about to do, um, this makes common sense. So let's dive in. Okay, let's start off now. Some of the people who are upset that Terry Crews is still talking in terms of male and female because there's not just the binary. Let's just put that to one side for a moment, okay? There are them that produce eggs, there are them that fertilize eggs. Okay? Them that produce eggs may think and act quite masculine. Them that produce eggs may still think and act quite feminine. Fertilize egg, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, there are still two sexes, or if you use the traditional sense of the word, two genders. And that's okay. Yes, there are people who sort of upset that rule with intersex, but at the end of the day, you're making eggs or you're fertilizing eggs. And beyond that, you're free to act how you want. Just let's not yell at people for acknowledging a simple biological truth. So that's that out of the way. But more importantly, how you're raised and the role models you have determine a large part of who you choose to be and how you treat other people. And this sort of breaks down into a number of ways depending on what role models you have and who you are. It will determine how you see yourself. So, example one, let's say that, I don't know, a young man is raised without a solid father figure. Yeah, that's a good example because that's what Terry's talking about. Now, having a positive female role model in your life, a mother figure, means that you're going to grow up with a good, mature view of women. Similarly, not having a good, positive male role model, a father figure, will mean you grow up with a stunted or warped sense of men and how men should be. Now, that doesn't only affect how you're going to view other people, it's going to affect how you view yourself. If I was to grow up with a positive female role model but no father figure, then I would see women as a really good thing and as mature, well-rounded people, but I would view men, i.e. myself, in a stunted way. I wouldn't know how to act like a man in a healthy way. It'd be left for me to try and work it out for myself. And thus, I don't know, I might act how I think men are supposed to act in these ways which, what's the word people like to use for it? Toxic masculinity. Because, I'm okay with the idea of toxic masculinity. It's just not every masculine thing is an example of toxic masculinity. We had some moron in our news, it's the ABC, the drum, but talking about how masculinity is like whiteness. It moves in and expands and tries to take over every environment it's in, putting the racist stuff aside, because I don't know what whiteness is. I mean, I'm white, but I don't think there's this ethereal essence oozing out of my white skin that you can call whiteness. Low battery, whatever. But masculinity? No. Bad masculinity might try and take over every environment it's in, because any kind of bad personality traits means you're an asshole. So, yeah, I think having a stunted view of yourself as a man because no one taught you how to be a good man, because you only had people giving you an example of what a good woman is, yeah, that might lead you to do some fucked up things in the attempt to be a man. Hey, similarly, if you're a young girl growing up and you have a positive female role model, you might have a really good view of yourself as a woman and women in general. And if you don't have a good father figure, then you're not going to know what to expect out of the men in your life, and you might even view the men in your life with a certain amount of disdain because you didn't have any reason to admire men growing up because if there was no positive male role model. And let's make it clear, single parents, you do some amazing stuff. It doesn't change the fact that being raised by a single parent increases your chances of doing poorly in school, getting involved in crime, getting a criminal record, etc., etc. And there's a lot of single parents who do an amazing job raising great kids, and I'm willing to take a guess that those kids being raised well also have non-parental figures, but father figures or mother figures in their life, filling out that role that the single parent just can't manage. And as Terry said, and I love the way he described it, kids growing up without that are malnourished because they're losing a healthy, mature view on a full half of the population. So don't get pissed off that he said that. Okay, it's quite possible you were raised by a single parent. You're like, my mum or dad, mostly it's mums these days, did an amazing job. Yeah, and maybe they did the best they could. Maybe you still had another positive role model of the opposite sex. And it goes the other way as well. There are single dads out there, and their children may be growing up with a warped view of women and a really good view of men because they have a solid man in their lives to teach them and raise them, but without the woman. At the end of the day, there are two sexes, and growing up, we need examples of how both of those sexes are supposed to operate. It's not difficult, all right? Grow up, get over yourself, listen to what the man's actually trying to say. Okay, if you think that Terry Crews, the sweetest and cuddliest of all scary black men, and the scariest of all sweet and cuddly black men, is out there spewing hate, you got a serious, serious perspective problem, my friend. Take a breath, get your head out of your ass. I don't know. Well, actually, get your head out of your ass, then take a breath. I don't know, just listen. Stop hating. Listen and learn. I'll see you guys later.